So in the last video, we have completed the implementation, that is in the user implementation in the uh, service implementation. So in that we have added the UUID to every method. So whenever user is logging, he will get this method. We can access this method. So only when you have UUID. So we have added for every read user, delete user. So in this lecture, we are going to give the access to the user. Like if you see the delete method, this access is for everyone, but we want to give this access only to the admin so that it will delete that user if he needed if he want to delete that user, so he will delete that user by using any ID that user will enter and it will delete that user. So we are going to give this method only to the admin so that we have to give access to the admin only. So we have to make one changes in the user so that we have to implement others also. But we have to make changes in the table. That is, we are going to take the input also the role. So we will take that. So first private string, I will give role as a variable name, and after that I will just comma string. I will just get role from user. This dot role equal to role, so I will give that, and we have to also add the getter setter also, so I will just add that. So I will just select this, run, yes. So I will just change the toString because I have added the role also, so I will just add that toString also. So a role has selected, so I will just enter and I will just save the user, and after that I will just add the one exception because whenever a user try to add the wrong that means role, so it will throw the exception, so that is why. So I will just add one class, that is user exception, and I will just click on finish. In that I will just extend the exception. I will just give the default as serial ID is 1, and I will just remove this, and after that I will just add the zero argument constructor, and with this argument constructor I will just change this, and I will just add the string, that is a message. This is the same that we have done in the current user exception, so we have to do that, that is super. We have to transfer this message to the parent class, so we will use the super, that is message, and we have to just save this, and after that we have to change the services. So I will just take one, in the add user I will just throw one exception, throw user exception, and I will just import that, that is codersart dot exception. So I will import that, and in the delete also I will just throw one another expression, that is user exception, and we are going to take the string ID with integer ID. So if my UUID it enter it the admin, so that means admin enter the UUID and he wants to delete the another user, so he can do that by using ID. So we have to go into do that also. So I will just save this, so we will get errors in the user controller and user implementation. So we will change in the user implementation. So in that I will just give integer ID, and we will change the everything, and we also user exception, we have to import that also. And after that, first we will update our add method, update method, and then only we will going to change that. So first I will take that if my user dot get role dot equals, sorry, so we have to pass user is admin or user dot get role dot equals is user. Only then you have to save that. So it will save and return the user. Else we have to throw new user exception with the message, and we have to pass the message that you enter correct role. So we have to give that, and we have to throw that exception. So it will save that. We'll throw the user exception, and after this, I will just save, arrange this by using Control Shift and F. So it will arrange our code. In that also, we are going to check that if my, that means user dot get role, whenever only when my user is not null, that means if user is null, then it will not do this task. So if my dot get role dot equals, and also we have to pass one more condition, and user one dot get role is not equal to null, then only we have to go do this. So I will just pass here user one, that means I will just give here, so it will get the UUID user, and also yes, so it will not null, so then only you have to do that. So we don't have to queue this, so I will just remove this. So in that, if my equal is user dot get role dot equals is admin, then only you have to do this. So I will just copy this. So in this condition, we have to give my user dot get role is not equal to null, then only you have to do this. If I get this null, so it will invoke this method. It will not invoke this method, it will give the error. So that is why I have given the one more condition in this. So it will do that. So after this, I have to just give the else. So we have to throw new current user exception. That is, we have to throw the user exception. I will throw the current user exception because I didn't throw the user exception. So it will arrange in this. So I will just give, so wrong role. So I will give that, and yes. So user ID is not same, wrong user ID. So I will just change this, or role is null. So I will just give that also. Yes. So we have done that. After this, I have just made the mistake. So you don't have the access. So this is the, here you have to give this access to the here, and you have to give this error. So I will just change that. You have to give this error to this else condition. If you see, whenever I check the user ID and user ID, so then only it will give this error. So I will just remove this. So wrong role. So it will you don't have the access. So this if condition is this admin. Else it is wrong. You don't have the access. So I will just remove this and I will just give or condition user dot get role dot equals. So I will just pass the user also because user can also update the user. So that is why I have given this condition. So if else, so this condition is correct. This condition user ID is not same. So this condition I have. So yes, so we have completed this, and for this else we have to throw the exception. So I will just give the exception that wrong UUID or role is I will guess is null. So it will throw the correct exception. So that is why I have changed this in this. So read user, you can do anyone. That is user also do that, and admin can also do that. So for delete, so we are going to first check the UUID. So we have checked the UUID. From that we get the user. So after getting this, so we are checking that that user is not null. And after this, we will do this. After that, first I will check that if my user that I am getting from UUID dot get role dot equals is admin. So I will check that if it is admin, then only you have to do this task. So I will just copy this, paste here. In the else condition, I will just get throw the exception, that is throw new user exception. In that I will pass you sorry so you don't have access. So I'll just give the string here. Yes, so it will save that. And after this we have to make a changes in this. So we don't delete the user, we have to delete the user. So that is why we have to do that. So we have to remove this. So we don't have to call that. Yes. So we are going to remove the user. So I will just get the user by using ID. So I will just call user dot repo dot find by ID. I will pass the ID. I will get the optional user. User. I will give optional user. And if I will take if condition, I will check that optional user dot is present, then only you have to delete the user. I will just give the else condition. I will throw user exception, throw new user exception. So we have to type the new also. It will give me the constructor and then only. So we have to pass a wrong ID. So after this, we have to get user1 equal to optional user dot get, and we have to delete that user, that is user1, and I will pass the user1. So it will delete that user from this, and then only we are going to get the user. If it is a login, the login, so it will not remove that. So we have to change that also. So we will from this we will call the what we say our session repo. So from this we will try to call the session repo because we have ID. and we can also get the user. So we will call that also. So I will give optional get user. So I will just call this inside the if condition because we have to give one more condition. So after deleting this, so I will call this method. So I will just call, sorry. So I will just call here optional session, that is current user session. I will just call the method name. So that is optional session. I will call the session repo dot find by. So we have find by. So we have to make one method in the session repo for the user ID. So I will just give the information. So it is a user ID. So we have email also. So we can get that from also. So I will just change that. We have email. So find by ID. I will pass the ID that is user1 dot get email, and we have to give if condition that is optional session is present, then call this method this dot logout, and we have to pass the UUID. So if that is present, then we will get optional session dot get dot UUID. So it will do that, and if not, don't do anything. So we will just so we don't have to give this. So we will just take this and we will return that. So we have saved this. So we have to just change in the device. So that is controller. So we'll throw the exception here. We will change this also. So I will just give at the rate path variable that is ID. So I will just give string ID. After this, I will just take the integer ID and I will just pass here comma ID. So it will throw the exception. So we have to do that also. And I will just give here the ID in the curly bracket. So if you give the different name that is in smaller ID, that is I is smaller and here is a small I is capital, so it will give the error. So that is why I have changed the smaller greater to smaller, capital to smaller. So I will just save this. I will just run the application. So it will update our controller that is table. So if you see, it is updating our table. Yes, so it is updated the table and it has added the column role with the varchar 255. And if you try to check in the MySQL, so I will just give disk user, that is description user. So it has added the role. It can also get the default that is a null value also. So that is why I have given the condition in the code, and I will just add the user with the role. So that is role comma that is this, and I will just give, if I didn't pass the role, so it will give me the error. So I will just send this. Yes, so we are getting the error that is unexpected. Sorry. So it will remove this. So we will give the correct error. I will just remove that. Yes. So because the return value of com.get role is null, so that is why we cannot call the role. So we have to pass the role every time. So role In the bracket, I will pass the admin. I will make this Codersart as admin, and I will just send the request. So it has created one user. I will just change the. I will give the coders. Email is coders, coder, and coder, and I will make the role as user, and then I will just send the request. It has created the user ID to name it coders, password is coders, email is coder@gmail.com, and it has made the user. So I will just change this, and I will just coders. I will log in as an admin, and I will try to remove this user from the database. So I will just remove this, and I will just log in the table. So log in, and I will just send the request. So it will going to log in. So it is not logged because password is wrong. So because I have tried the wrong email, so I will just change that, and I will just log in, try to log in again. Yes, so it has login with the correct email and password. It has given a UUID, so I will just copy. I will try to delete directly without wasting time. So user delete. I will pass the UUID, that is admin ID, and I will pass the ID that I want to delete from the table. So I will just pass that, and I will just enter to the send. So it will delete that. So it has deleted the user too with a role of user. So if you want to see that, so select the from user. So it has deleted the user, and it has maintained only the admin role. So if I try to do the remove with the same role, if I want to delete this, so I can do that, but I don't want to delete the admin, so you can do that also. So it will delete from the table also. So I will just enter the ID, so it will delete that also. So it has deleted the user. So if you see, it has deleted the user, and if you see the same table, so it has empty. And if I want to say give current user session, sorry, so I have to show table. So let me just get the correct name. Sorry, show table. So I will just use the current session, current user session. So I will just select star from current user session. I will just enter. Yes. So you can see that I also log out from the current user session. So you didn't give the information about that about the user. So if you see, I have removed the user also. That is has a role of admin. So you can do delete our own details also that has admin role, and you can also remove the user that role has user. So this is all about the role. So you can give the role to anyone. So if you want to give each method with a different role, so you can do that. So by using only you have to add only the role in the your user class, so it will manage to check the every role that has you enter in the role. So thank you, see you in the next video.